All right, hello everyone, and welcome back. This is the Echols Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Echols. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for clicking on this video, clicking on this podcast. Thank you for supporting my last one about my top 10 players in the NBA. I just am excited for this upcoming season, and I had my thoughts on who are the top 10 players in the NBA right now. Please go check that out. That's I'll probably be linked somewhere, but yeah, I'm gonna get right into my favorite players to watch in the NBA. My top 10 favorite players to watch. I'm gonna do it in the same format. I'm gonna start with 10 and with number 1, and to make this easy on everyone, to make it a little bit more simple, I only chose to go with guys who I thought are at an all-star caliber player, or like an all-star level, or guys people can watch, on a consistent basis. As everyone knows, my favorite player, one of my favorite players is Justin Anderson. I wish I could include him on this list. However, he is not a full-time NBA player, even though I think he should be. I think he should be on a decent-sized contract. I think he's, the perfect role player, perfect rotation player for an NBA team. He's currently in the G League, so I just want to give him a special shout-out because he is indeed one of my favorite players to watch in the league when he's spending time up in the league. But he's a true grinder. He's a true worker. He's a guy that likes to put the time and put the effort in, and he's true to what he wants to do and who he wants to play for. So I'm grateful to watch him as a player, and I'm grateful to have grown up a big fan of his. But gonna get right into my list. Gonna start with number 10, and that is Kawhi Leonard. I am so excited to watch Kawhi play this year. He's number 10 on my list because there's just so many guys who I really like in the NBA, but I would be remiss if I didn't include Kawhi in this. His 25 points a game, his 5 assists, his 5 rebounds, and his almost 2 steals a game back in 2020, 2021 before he got hurt was pretty good. I think his numbers don't exactly speak for the type of player that he is, because he's an amazing dude. I think and I'm going to talk mostly about things that aren't really basketball related in this. I'm going to talk about more like why guys are my favorite people. And Kawhi Leonard is definitely one of my favorite people in the NBA. I think he has a very similar personality to my own. I think I talk probably a little bit more than he does, but he's very low key, very calm. He's very playful and joyful. At times you see it and you get surprised by it. But he's just very true to himself. He's not a hugely expressive guy. He's not, a guy who's going to get in people's faces. He goes to work, he plays the game, and he just is low key off the court. Keeps to himself, keeps to his family. He's a true family man. I don't know if you guys realize that, but he's got a daughter, he's got a wife. So he's true to his family. He likes to keep that stuff really private, and I can respect that. Another thing I like about him is he's constantly improving. His offensive game has improved immensely over the past few years, and he really works on his game. Despite being such a top-notch defensive player, he's really gotten the offense almost up to the level that his defense is at, and that's made him, and if you saw my last video, that's made him a top 6, top 7 player in the league right now. And he's one of those guys who just doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do, and that's very respectable. You don't see him on social media, don't see him really doing a whole lot of brand deals and brand partnerships. He does the big ones with the New Balance and with other companies that he supports and he's into. But yeah, I really love Kawhi Leonard, and I'm excited to watch him play this year.
You suck, man! Beal, you suck!
At number 9, I have Bradley Beal, and Brad Beal only played 40 games last season, but he did average 23 points a game, 4 rebounds per game, and almost 7 assists. In his, I think it's his second or third year, being the lone star over in Washington. Russell Westbrook's not there anymore. John Wall's not there anymore. It's just him as the lone all-star over there. So, hopefully they're able to put a team around him. He doesn't run from the grind. He's loyal to DC. He stays there and does, what he can. The cool thing about Brad Beal is I've been actually following his career and watching him play since he was in college. I had the privilege of going to watch one of his games when he was at Florida, and they played at Syracuse. I was just finishing up my middle school game, my modified game, and I went to the Syracuse game and got to watch Brad Beal in person. Thankfully, Syracuse won that game. I don't remember the final score. I don't really remember what happened, but I remember watching this guy, number 23, Brad Beal, and thinking, okay, this is the guy that everyone think is gonna make the next step to the NBA next year. And I could definitely see that game. Even seventh grade Terrence could see the level of player that Brad Beal was. And I really enjoy watching those videos of him talking to his youth players because he doesn't hold anything back. He's brutally honest. He keeps it real with them, and I can respect that. I respect the man that Brad Beal is, for sure. So next on my list, I have Trey Young, and Trey Young is a borderline top 10 player in the league. People forget just how talented this guy is, and he's always compared to Luka Doncic. We all know that I have Luka as a top 5 player in the league. Trey's up there. Trey's probably 11, 12, 13, probably somewhere in that range. But the 28 points a game, the 4 rebounds and the 9 assists, the 9 or 10 assists that he puts up a game. Truly one of the best offensive talents we've seen in a long time in the NBA. He's part of that new age point guard, that guy who can run an offense, lead the team, but also be the guy you can depend on to score and be a high usage guy. He's one of those guys who you love on your team and you hate to see on the other team. Really did not enjoy Trey Young a couple years ago when he was knocking my number 1 ranked Sixers out of the playoffs. That was tough to watch for sure. But he doesn't have a single deficiency offensively besides the fact that he doesn't get offensive rebounds. That's probably the one thing. But he can pass, he shoots it, he finishes mid-range, handles, free throws, floaters, just such an elite package offensively. Just Trey is able to put it all together and take advantage of the fact that he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, but he is the most skilled on the court 99% of the time when he plays in the NBA. At number 7, I have Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine averaged, over almost 25 points a game, 5 rebounds and 5 assists last season. And, he gets a lot of, attention for being such a good dunker. He's got those 2 slam dunk contest championships. But he's actually a really versatile player. He's known as a dunker, but he does have a complete offensive package. He slashes it very well, gets to the rim. He's got a decent mid-range pull-up game. Not the best, but people forget also Zach LaVine is a knockdown 3-point shooter. He has the record in the NBA for the second most 3-pointers made in a game, trailing only Klay Thompson by 1 3. Zach LaVine had 13 threes in a game one time playing for the Bulls. His style of play is just exciting to watch. It's part of this new age NBA where, threes are important, but it's always going to be the most exciting highlight when a guy gets a big dunk in a game. And, that's something that he can definitely do. I think if he was like a lockdown defender, he'd be a top 10 player in the league. If you just look at his body of work, you look at his athleticism, you look at all the things that he can bring to the table. If he was a lockdown, no nonsense defender, I think Zach LaVine is a top 10 player. So I'm excited to watch him play and see what the Bulls are able to build on after having a decent season last year. Lonzo Ball coming back from injury, and DeMar DeRozan having almost MVP year. They're going to be dangerous. They're definitely going to be dangerous. Vucevic, they got him. So Patrick Williams, they have a solid roster. And they're young guys too. Good mix of young guys and experienced guys. So excited to watch what the Bulls do this upcoming season. So at number 6, I have Damian Lillard. And Dame is one of those guys, he's like Bradley Beal. He's never run from the grind. He only played 29 games last year, but he still averaged 24, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. Dame is, in a weird position because, they traded away or they haven't re-signed any of the all-stars that he's had the chance to play with. He's played with Carmelo Anthony. He's played with CJ McCollum. He's played with LaMarcus Aldridge. Even, solid high-quality role players like Robert Covington, they've traded away. They've let go. So I don't know where they go from here with the Blazers. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to compete, but I just don't see Dame and Anthony Simons, taking the Blazers that far. Even though Dave is from that, that group of guys who's you really want to see win an NBA championship. He's like the Derrick Roses of the world, the Russell Westbrooks of the world, the Carmelo Anthonys of the world, who, the Chris Pauls, those really good players who just have come close and just haven't been able to reach that. It's an unfortunate, but let's see how they do this year. I'm going to be rooting for the Blazers, but I just don't think they have enough talent. They don't have enough experience on this team. Hopefully they'll be able to prove me wrong. I think they just got Jeremy Grant, which is great. He's a good pickup for sure. He's a borderline all-star level player as well. So we'll see. We're going to have to wait and see with the Blazers. So at number 5, I have CJ McCollum. CJ is one of my favorite players to watch. He's been one of my favorite players to watch for a long time. I really enjoy watching CJ because he's just so solid on offense. People forget CJ has a bag. He has a package, an extreme package that makes him so dynamic. He's got the pull-up jump shot. He's a standstill knockdown 3-point shooter, and then he can slash, get to the rim floater. He's got that Trey Young package where he can do pretty much anything he wants. He can get pretty much any shot he wants, and at his size and at his frame, that's important for a guy like him. And last year he averaged 22 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. We'll see what the Pelicans are able to do. Got a good little roster over there. You got guys like Jose Alvarado. I don't know what they're going to do with him, whether they play CJ at the point or, they can go big. They can go pretty big with CJ at the point, Herb Jones at the 2, put Brandon Ingram at the 3, Zion at the 4, and then Valanciunas at the 5. That's a solid rotation they got there. And, I'm excited to see how far they're able to go. They were able to get a game or two out of the Suns early in this playoffs. So we'll see what Zion does when he comes back. We'll see, Herb Jones, how well he's able to develop offensively so if he can become a high quality rotation role player in the league. And we already know he's a lockdown defender. He gave guys like Devin Booker fits last year, and it was great to watch. But CJ is definitely number 5 on my list. And number 4, I'm a huge Philadelphia 76ers fan. I think the best thing that's happened to the Sixers since 2020 when they got swept by the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. I think the best thing to happen to them since then was signing and drafting Tyrese Maxiell. And Tyrese Maxiell is just such a lovable player to watch. He averaged 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, number 2 in the NBA in 3-point shooting percentage. He didn't come out of college known as a shooter. He came out of college as a guy who could score, but he was a question mark. A lot of talent, but we didn't know what the type of player he could be. I can definitely see him growing into a role like a Darius Garland and being an all-star level player. So I'm excited to see where Tyrese Maxiell is able to go. And, he's my second favorite player on the Philadelphia 76ers, so he's great to watch. And he's constantly wanting to improve. He has such a good attitude. He's wanting to learn and grow and gain everything he can from James Harden, who's one of the best offensive talents in the NBA history. So I'm glad to have him. I'm glad to have James Harden on the Sixers team, and I'm looking forward to another great year in Philly. Number 3, I have Tyrese Maxiell's teammate, my favorite player on my favorite team, and that is Joel Embiid. We all know about Joel being, the best player in the league the past 2 seasons, in my opinion. I think he should have won the MVP both seasons. Last year he averaged 31, 12, and 4 assists on a block and a half per game. He's just a two-way monster. Anchors the defense really, really well. You can run an offense through him because of how dynamic he is. He can play down in the post. He has such good moves, such good touch around the basket. And then he can step out, make dribble handoffs, make, good passes, good decisions, and then knock down, perimeter shots. And even he's gotten better at that little pull-up. If a guy's sagging off him towards the three-point line, he's able to dribble into his shot or dribble and get into a driving lane. So I think Joel Embiid is a top 7, 8 player in the league, and probably should have been an MVP the past couple of seasons, or at least one of them. And I'm excited to watch him. He's been so good and so fun to watch, and I'm so glad to have him on my favorite team. So Joel Embiid at number 3. At number 2, I have the best player in the NBA, my current number 1 best player in the league, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, who averaged 30 points a game, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1.5 blocks last game. We all know his resume. We all know his story. I just love him because he's such a good role model for today's youth basketball player, because I think youth basketball is going more towards the way of, you want to do things that are going to you want to do the pretty stuff. You want to get highlights done. You want to, be able to post stuff on social media. You want to, just be popular, have the nice things. And Giannis comes from very humble beginnings, and you can see that in the way that he plays, and you can see the humility that he has when he interacts with people off the court, and just how wholesome he is. And I just love watching that. I kind of look like him. That's another reason why I kind of like him as well. And, just him being just such a happy-go-lucky, impressive guy to watch. And he's high energy. He plays both sides of the ball really, really hard. And, I'm grateful to have grown up in an era where I get to see him play. And, I'm excited to see what else he's able to accomplish, whether it's, more MVPs, more championships, maybe even a gold medal with the Greek national team, which, I think could be one of his most impressive feats if he's able to do that. So we'll see what Giannis is able to do going forward.
Hello there. I'll tell you guys something.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Being happy, being sad comes and goes. One day you're happy, one day you're sad. But having joy lasts. So have joy, fellas.
And at number 1 of my favorite players to watch, and this probably should come as no surprise to those of you who know me very well and know my background in basketball, is that I am the biggest LeBron James fan. I'm the biggest LeBron James supporter. I grew up watching this guy. The very first thing that I ever bought and I saved my birthday money for when I was, probably 7 or 8 years old was a LeBron James jersey. He's the reason why I fell in love with basketball. Watching this guy play, sky through the air and go up against some of those early Detroit teams and the Boston Celtics, and watching this guy, really pulling for this guy, seeing him take on such a huge burden night in, night out, that was my childhood. He was such a good role model for me growing up as not only a basketball player but as a man. He does everything right on the court. He does everything right off the court. And, I couldn't be more grateful to have a role model like him. I couldn't be more grateful to have grown up watching him play. So I've followed him forever. He's on pace to be the greatest of all time. I think right now he's the best player in NBA history, all-around best player. I think when his accolades and accomplishments are stacked up at the end of his career, you're not going to be able to argue against the fact that he's the best player ever. So, I think right now, if he were to retire right now, people would probably say Michael Jordan still got him for being the greatest player of all time. But LeBron will have the best career, to be the greatest player of all time by the time he retires. And, that starts with him passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for, most points in NBA history coming up this season. So that's what I'm most excited to see. We're going to witness history. That Kareem has been, on that list at number one for, 30 plus years. And it's so crazy that LeBron's about to break that. But yeah. So that's my list. That's my top 10 most exciting players, my favorite players that I'm going to watch for this coming NBA season. If you have anyone you want to add to the list, if you have someone I think I should take off, please let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to share this with your friends. Please don't forget to like the video. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I really appreciate all of the support for this podcast, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.
And you working for the devil. So who you working for at this point? I'm a man of God. God got me covered. And as long as I'm alive, God's not finished.
God damn it. All right. Let's make some noise for that.